Thank you so much for my patrons. I super appreciate all of the support. And I am done. Okay, so I just finished listening to Enemy of God by Bernard Cornwell. This is the second book in the Warlord Chronicles trilogy, and I want to give you my unedited thoughts upon finishing the book, which was just right now. So this is a super duper easy 5 out of 5 score for me. I can't get over how dope this book just was. I mean, I liked the first book. I gave the first book a 4 out of 5 and really liked what it was setting up. But this book was something special. And it's kind of rare for me to give the second book in a trilogy a higher score than the first book. I am a sucker for beginnings to a story. There's something I love about a slow build, finding out about a world, finding out about all these new characters that I don't have a lot of knowledge about. That's just so special to me. And you lose so much of that in the second book in a trilogy because everything's already set up. And it's really about plot progression. And it can become very difficult to nail the plot progression when you still have a final book left to go. That's why so many books fall into this middle book syndrome. They just wasn't there. I mean, it wasn't there at all. The plot carried this book. The plot is so dang good. And I don't want to just say that because there's so many different things about this book that I enjoyed. The characters are only amplified. The style of the writing here is just, it makes you want to eat it up. I mean, I rocketed through this book probably twice as fast as I went through the first one. Now, granted, the first one I was sick, so I went slower on that because of that. But this second one, I was flying through. I couldn't get enough of it. And the audiobook itself is so dang good. I mean, on this channel, I will frequently say that, I like the audiobook more. And a lot of the times I don't say anything. And when I don't say anything, that means, I don't know that the audiobook's better. I think, physical is the way to go. And I almost always think physical is the way to go. And my scores show that. My scores are routinely higher on physical versions of books as compared to audiobooks. Now, I don't know why. I don't know if that's because I'm choosing to read books that I think I'll like more on physical. I'm not sure. But what I do know is this audiobook amplifies it enormously. And I know for a fact that if I were to read this book physically, I would not like it as much as what this audio was. Now, if you want to get this audiobook for free and you don't haven't gotten the free trial for Audible yet, I do have a sponsorship with Audible. Check out audibletrial.com/Matt, get a free trial for Audible, and go pick up the first book in the series and then pick up this one. You will not regret it. It is so dope. So if you're not aware of what this series is, this is a historical fiction where it's retelling the legend of King Arthur. And King Arthur is something that I've always known about, but I don't have like intimate details about all the different characters. In general, I know that Arthur was a king. I know that Merlin was like his wizard. I know that Galahad was, one of their friends. I know that he, I know these kind of basic facts about the story. He's married to Guinevere, but just a base level knowledge. And this just amplifies how much that I've liked this story about King Arthur about 1,000,000%. It's so enjoyable. It's got this framing narrative where essentially you have this story being told by the main character, Derfel, and he is in present time, not my present, but present to the story, and telling his history with King Arthur to somebody else. But in this book, it's really downplayed. There's a few different times where it goes to that present time, but in general, 99% of this book is that story itself. And I love framing narratives, but I do like that it was a little downplayed here, and we really just got the story. I love this idea that you have Derfel, and he's this POV that doesn't have a lot of baggage to the reader. He's not somebody anybody will know anything about because he's a bit part person in history that gets a very amplified story here. And I like that. You know, I think I like a lot more that we got this character as opposed to, you know, getting it from Arthur's perspective. I always like that in historical fiction books when the main point of view is not the main person to the event. You get this kind of background to it that you wouldn't be able to get otherwise. This book is full of action. And by action, I don't necessarily mean just like set piece battles, although there are those. I mean that the plot is progressing at such a rapid pace that it's just so packed with events, memorable moments that I will never forget. I mean, there was a moment when I was driving and a major event is taking place with the daughter of the main character here. And I literally had to pull over my car just to suck it in. I was worried that I might drive recklessly because of how engrossed I was in this story. And I've never had to do that before. There was a moment with this very big confrontation with Lancelot, and I won't say more than that, but it's, you know, 80% or so through the book. And if you've read this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I was late to a meeting because I just sat outside of it listening to what happened. That's never happened to me either. I love so much about what happened here. But I was worried because the first quarter of this book is a bit slow. It's meandering, and you think that this is going to be Merlin's story. And don't get me wrong, I think Merlin's a wonderful character. He adds a lot of flavor to the story. But he shouldn't be the focus of this story. But it turned into King Arthur's story. And I love that melded into that and got me the story that I really wanted to read about. You know, this is a high drama political thriller in a lot of ways. And that's weird to say from a book that is like from 500 AD or whatever we're calling AD now. But that's what it is. There's so many moments of like treachery and having to decide the best course of action for these military maneuvers and trying to get the people to agree with the main actors here. And it's so fun to read about. You know, I love that you had all these different characters and you had all these different stories, and they weave together in this masterful exhibition of storytelling that Cornwell is just a master at. You know, I haven't read a ton of Cornwell books, but every single one of them that I read, I end up walking away from it going, this guy is an expert in his craft, because he writes so well that it's hard to describe like how amazing of a writer this guy is, not just from the actual way that he composes the words on a page and how good they are and the prose, which is top notch, but the fact that he can weave in this amazing plot that will just keep you super interested from beginning to end. It's just perfect. So I'm obsessed with this book. It's one of the better books that I've ever read. It's wonderful in every single way. I don't know how this final book is going to go because it felt like the story kind of wrapped up in the second book. Now, I'm very interested to see where this goes because a lot of people that I know say the same thing. They say, the first book is good, the next two are incredible. So if the third book is even a shadow of what the second book was, this is going to go down as one of the all-time favorite trilogies for me, and I'm just so interested to find out what direction we go. A lot of times I am reading a trilogy, and it's very clear what has to happen in that third book to wrap things up. That is not so, and I can't wait to be there for it, and I'm just so excited to continue on with this journey. I'll probably end up reading the next book in January. Yeah, definitely in January. I can't wait. Definitely going to listen to the audiobook. And I am super excited about continuing this journey. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. If you want to watch another one of my videos that I think you'll find extremely interesting that I just filmed, wrapping up some of the worst books or the most underwhelming books and disappointing that I read in 2022, click right over here. I think you're going to find it very interesting. And as always, happy reading to you. Thank you so much again to my patrons, and a special shout out to my Ascendant tier patrons, Danute, Sky, and Russell. I super appreciate it.